Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I'm Mitesh
And I'm Chris.
and welcome to our podcast for the Turkish GP. How are you doing, by the way?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm upset that I missed most of the Turkish Grand Prix because
Yeah.
the Istanbul circuit is one of my favorites, and I was so happy that it was back on the calendar. But yet, I only watched part of the race.
But you missed what I think this was the most exciting race of the season by a big margin. And to be honest, even I missed a bit because I was messaging you, remember, like during the race. So let's start with the first news, and that is Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion.
Yeah, and clear of what, 120 points over Bottas even. So what, he scored 300, was it 317, and I think Bottas had 207 or something like that.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Anyways, congratulations to Lewis Hamilton for achieving, and we are witnessing, like, in our our lifetime we have seen two world champions conquering 7 plus 7 14, and Sebastian 4 18 world titles we've seen just in our age. So that is something pretty special. But coming to Hamilton, he drove fantastic race out of nowhere. Like, he was somewhere behind 8th, 9th, and
Started
then
in 6th place.
Sixth,
And dropped back a little
dropped
bit
back.
because of the inclement weather,
Yeah.
and then
he had just one pit stop, and he was on intermediates, and he did 46 laps on that. 46. So the thing was, because the circuit was wet at the start and then eventually dried up, so at the end the intermediates became like slicks, and then he just continued, and then they showed his tires.
So just to clarify before the comment section starts hating us, sorry, I got the point standings wrong. Hamilton 307, Bottas 197. That's 120 points
points
between the two of them. That is absolutely insane.
It's insane. And pretty much both the drivers from the same team having the same car. Exactly. I mean, at least, yeah.
So let's quickly flash back to qualifying.
Yes, qualifying was a nightmare for everyone because the practice sessions were mixed. They were like mix of rain, wet, and the dry. But then the tires just weren't working because the tarmac was new. So that was an added factor which was playing, a factor in the qualifying. The field was very mixed, in terms of qualifying, because even the Mercedes couldn't get on pole, and then Stroll was on pole.
Well, that's what was leading up to there. Stroll on pole. We had Max Verstappen, as you said, and then Sergio Perez. So very interesting.
Very
front two
interesting
rows.
lineup that was for the start, and then we come to the race day, and Max actually had a very poor start. Like, he just slipped because again it was a wet race. So just as everyone was heading on to the grid, so Giovinazzi spun off while going on to the grid for the formation lap, and even Russell, he slipped, but thank God this time he didn't go into the barriers, because the last time it was pretty embarrassing for him. So yeah, and the race start, Max missed out, but Vettel and Sainz had like rocket starts. Vettel went from 11th up to 4th straight, and then Sainz also was somewhere 14th, and then he came to like 6th position. But the thing was, Ricardo was almost into the 3rd position, but he had Ocon, who had a brilliant start. But Danny didn't have any place to go. So, he actually said after the race that I didn't have any place, so I just went straight into Ocon. He knew, so he sacrificed his teammate for that. And yeah, then Ocon's race was pretty much destroyed after that. But let's quickly start going through the drivers. From Mercedes, we know Hamilton was brilliant. Bottas, I don't know how many times do we discuss this.
8 times he spun in the race.
Yes, 8 times.
He certainly has got the short end of the stick this season. He's pulled that short straw out, and he's gotten, I don't know why, but Mercedes is literally like he would be second fiddle, but it seems to be he's second fiddle to somebody else that's not even on the grid. And
Exactly.
it's a shame to see, because Bottas is a very, very competent racer.
Yeah.
It's such a shame to see him
And
fall like this,
he's a Finnish driver. They are supposed to be good rally drivers,
especially in the rain.
In the
Scandinavian flicks.
but I think he's just not comfortable with the car. And then we move on to Ferrari. what a performance by them. This was Ferrari's best performance by miles this season. Like, can you imagine third and fourth is their best?
It would
for
have
this-
been second and
Yeah.
was it second and third or second and fourth? I think it's second and fourth.
Second
wasn't
and
it? Where
third, yeah.
Leclerc got a little bit too
Excited.
over optimistic, excited as well is a good word to use in those last two corners, and he lost out to was it Perez and his teammate.
Vettel.
Great to see Vettel back on the podium, but what could have been for Charles Leclerc?
Yeah,
A little bit too optimistic.
it could have easily been second and third for Ferrari, but
The good news is they didn't collect each other, so
oh yes, otherwise they would have had to handle a lot more than just the crash. So, so then we move on to Red Bull again. Max gave away his race, just being overly aggressive again with Perez, and then he spun off. I think on lap 46th it was that he spun around, and then that was it for his race was done, and he had flat spot on his tires. He had to go pit, and I think he was sixth after that. He just finished sixth, and Albon behind him.
Albon
So-
again. I think that's when I started watching. Was when Albon spun on the hill, excuse me, and Verstappen was behind him, and you can see Albon's desperately trying to get the car back in gear, get back on track in front of him, but nope. And then unfortunately was Albon's decline from that point onwards.
Yeah, and then we come to Racing Point.
Yeah, so obviously Stroll on pole was the biggest talking point of the weekend. His
Yep.
first ever pole position.
Yeah,
He led throughout the first
32 laps.
some of
yeah.
that. So that's very strong performance from Stroll.
Very.
But then tyre wear got to him, pit stop got to him, so he started tumbling down the order.
Yeah.
And just at that halfway point as well, you could see that he entered back on track. Still in the top 10. But then he suddenly went. I think he suddenly came back into the pit, or he had a delay somewhere.
Yeah.
And that just pushed him back to what could have been potentially his first win. Or at least a very strong podium finish with the likes
Yeah.
of Lewis Hamilton and Vettel alongside. Better yet, sorry, not even Vettel, Perez. Which is a very strong performance from his teammate.
Yeah, and imagine Perez has no seat next year, a driver.
Which is a real
Of-
shame. Well, we don't know. Does he not have a seat? We don't know. We're in silly season at the moment.
But up till an announcement isn't made. For now, he doesn't have. But I'm probably guessing Haas is the only option left for any driver now, because everyone's pretty much decided with their lineup. So the next team is, you want to discuss?
Well, I just noticed that
Renault?
you actually wrote here in the notes. We got reason as to why Stroll fell back. It wasn't because of a pit stop. It was because he has some.
Yeah,
he
yeah.
had an issue, front wing damage, which he wrote here. His race was ruined. I wouldn't say ruined. Ninth is still a good finish, isn't it? You're 3 points
Yeah,
ahead of the non-scoring position, so that's not too bad. So you're scoring. At least you got some points. And
Yeah.
what was great to see as well is when he was doing battle with Vettel.
yeah,
Going down the hill, and I could just picture what's going on through Daddy Stroll's head, going, "Son, please, this guy is going to join the team. Don't hit that Ferrari, whatever you do." And credit where credit's due, that although the battle only lasted about a corner or so, it was it was a tense moment, and it was very good between
Yeah.
both parties, because obviously Vettel, wealth of experience, multiple-time champion, Stroll on his first pole, almost his first victory,
Yeah.
but it just escaped him. So hats off to.
and both are going to be the drivers next season together in the
Exactly.
same team. And then we've already discussed Renault. Yeah, both had. Renault actually had a pretty all-right race, because they were pretty far off from the front runners that way, and because of the chaos in the first lap. And to be honest, there were no safety cars. Can you imagine a wet race, no safety car?
It's interesting you say that, and like you said, Giovinazzi. Let's talk about Alfa
Alfa Romeo, let's finish, yeah.
Giovinazzi, as you said, spun on the formation lap.
Yeah.
So that was a disastrous spell for him. It was the so you could say
Yeah.
forecoming of what's to come for the rest of, for the
And
entire
then
race.
eventually he had to retire with a gearbox issue.
And then let's discuss AlphaTauri.
AlphaTauri.
Disastrous race for them.
Oh, yeah.
Pierre Gasly. I don't know. Since that Monza win, I think we all saw him in a different light, seeing
Yeah.
a completely different driver from
Yeah.
what we all thought he was after being relegated from the A team to the B team.
Yeah.
Fantastic story there with him winning in Monza. We thought we could see a lot more of
A
him,
lot
than
more, yeah.
unfortunately just didn't go his way here in Istanbul.
And I think even AlphaTauri themselves said that their cars were just not able to cope up with the wet conditions. This track actually proved that there is so much needed for these cars to work perfectly. Like, you need a a rubber track, proper one, and then you also need like a sort of dry, because these cars actually hate, complete wet conditions, because there is no aero downforce that works on these cars after that, which is what this track actually proved. And there was no rubbering. That meant it was literally like they were just skating on the it was actually pretty visible in the practice sessions also. And then even Haas next days,
Magnussen and Grosjean not finishing, I think, is a story of
it's just the end, like, pretty much for them now.
It's going to be very interesting what Gunther Steiner has to say in the next Netflix series about his team and what's going to happen and why they didn't make any races. Is he going to blame the drivers? No, obviously there's something going on. I can't imagine the
But it'll be really interesting to see it from the driver's perspective, because now they know they are not going to be in the team. So on the Netflix, they are going to be pretty open.
We already discussed Giovinazzi not finishing, and then Latifi as well. Not finishing as well. So there's one other team that we didn't touch on, and that of course is McLaren. Carlos Sainz and George Russell.
Lando Norris.
Oh, sorry, Lando Norris. Sorry, I get the memes mixed up. Sorry, my apologies for that. So Lando Norris finishing 8th and Carlos Sainz finishing 5th. Very strong performances there.
Very from them.
McLarens,
and especially Sainz, and both were way back down beyond top 10. So from there they just finish into these positions. That is something. So McLaren is something with that team is genuinely, like, I'm hoping next year when they have a Mercedes engine, that's when they are going to be like a dominant force for sure, like, in the top 3 or something, the teams, best top 3 teams. Sorry, I don't know if I should count Ferrari in this, but
so I'm wondering now, what's the next Grand Prix, because I know that we have 2 rounds at Sakhir and then we have 1 round in Abu Dhabi. Is there a race in the middle of it? Sorry, I'm just trying to look at the moment.
It's just 3 races to go.
So we've got 3 races left to go. That explains why Hamilton's locked up the championship. 2 races in Sakhir, which is kind of odd, but anyway, it's close enough to be home for us. But the real winner here is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix on the 14th, if I'm not mistaken, of December, which is a exciting race. Are you going to be there?
Season closer.
Are you going to be attending?
I hope so. I am trying.
I probably will miss this for the umpteenth thousandth time. I never, for some reason, every time when it comes to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, I just miss it for some reason. Last year I was there, but I was at a completely different event, and then you could hear the track, you could hear,
Also,
F4
you were around the track.
I was there, but I didn't watch the F1. I heard F4 and everything going off, and I was like, oh, missed it again this season. Got to try next year, and guess I'm not going to watch it this year either.
Probably next year, but I think this year they don't anyways have crowds.
I guess we'll have to.
They're not allowing people inside. Yeah, so online is the way. Who was the driver of the day for you? It's pretty.
It's tough.
It is
because Hamilton is too easy to give it to. Okay, he started at 6th, he fell down, and then went all the way. He went into the lead and ended up winning by 15 seconds or something like that.
But he was also pretty much like his own race engineer. He was deciding what strategy he wanted. Like the teams were telling him like, okay, no, we just pit again for intermediates. He was like, no, because if it rained, there were chances on the lap 58th, which is like the last lap, there was going to be spots of rain, and if it fell, then he was on like slick tires pretty much. So which is what the concern was. But then he was like, no, I don't want to. That's the amount of belief and the confidence he had. Like he could just push it and then finish. So. Yeah, but for me, I think everyone voted for Vettel. So I think Vettel is something because he badly needed that, that position to boost himself.
I'll give it. Maybe you're right there with Vettel, because this is his first podium since 2019 Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico.
So it's been quite a while since we've seen the young German on the podium.
Yeah.
He definitely deserves it. Great job there from Vettel. Maybe right. Maybe we give him driver of the race.
Who was the driver of the day according to you? Let us know in the comment section. So I think we are now 3 races to go, 2 from Bahrain and 1 from Abu Dhabi. Let's see, there is still a championship, like the team's championship for the 3rd, 4th and the 5th, which is like a huge contention which is going on right now for so many teams, Renault, McLaren, Racing Point, and even now with Ferrari scoring 3rd and 4th, they are closing the gap to Racing Point. So we have to go. It's so weird that we are discussing Ferrari fighting for the third, fourth, and the fifth. But yeah, that's
Ferrari just
the
didn't bring
year.
the A game this season.
Hopefully next year it changes. Anyways, I think we've pretty much covered the race in this video, so give it a thumbs up if you've liked it, and let us know in the comment section if you would like us to discuss anything else in this debrief of the race. Anything, whichever it is, put it down in the comment section and we'll make sure to add it up in the next video. You will be available, right, next race?
I have to check the calendar.
See? All right.
Let's see. I'm a busy man now.
Yeah, he's super busy.
Not really. Don't do much nowadays with my life. Let's see what
He pretends to be busy.
Exactly.
But yeah. Anyways, so yeah, please give this video a thumbs up and make sure to stay subscribed for more videos to come. We shall see you in the next video. Bye bye.
29th.
29th. Bye.